Welcome to Why Don't We Dress for Dinner Anymore with my co-host, senior style icon, Teddy Crockman.
And documentarian and entrepreneur, Melissa Pierce, the fabulous redhead here. Welcome everyone to our show. Today we want to talk about the psychology of fashion. We have a little bit of a different spin on fashion. A lot of fashion shows are going to talk about the latest styles, what's the latest trends. Our look is a little bit more in depth. We're looking at the psychology of fashion. Why do we dress the way we do? How does that affect the way we act? What does the way we dress communicate about ourselves? What does society reflect our fashion, or does fashion reflect society? So those are just some of the stimulating questions that we ask our guests and talk about in this particular show. Today, we're going to be talking with supermodel, Chicago-based supermodel, Nikki Chachere. And I just want to give you all a little bit of a background about Nikki. It's very interesting. And Nikki, I have lots of questions to ask you based on this background. Okay. So Nikki Chachere is a top model based in Chicago whose career took some interesting twists and turns to where she is today. Nikki actually enlisted in the Air Force in 2003, straight out of high school, and she served in the Air Force as a cop or military police for 11 years, including an early station in Iraq during, I think, the height of a lot of the action in Iraq. And we want to thank you, Nikki, for your service.
Thank you.
At the beginning of Nikki's military career, she was spotted by a model recruiter at a local mall and was selected from over 150 contenders to go to Dallas to start a modeling career. However, since Nikki was already enlisted in the military, that was not an option for her until she separated from the Air Force in 2014. She went on then to receive a Bachelor of Arts degree in legal studies from Penn State University. And after that, she also completed a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice from the University of Texas San Antonio. Nikki is now a top model and has appeared in both Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, in addition to runway and photo work. Furthermore, she's currently the owner of a cognac brand called Epochal. So, Nikki, you have a very, very interesting background. You've been in the military. You've been a model. You have done studies in legal justice. And
you have
now
two bachelor's degrees.
You have two bachelor's degrees, and now you have a cognac brand. So let's just talk a little about it. I find it interesting, Nikki, that you started out in the military. You were there for a good chunk, 11 years. So up until about the point, about 29 years old or so.
Yes.
And then it looks like you did back-to-back college degrees in legal justice studies.
Yes.
So what made you turn a 180 and begin a modeling career? How are they even connected in any way, shape, or form?
They're not. Actually, I will say that I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. So I was kind of leaning towards that. Mm-hmm. And I definitely wanted to be like a sexy lawyer,
a sexy lawyer,
right?
Fashion, like a fashion icon, but like a badass in the legal system, So like, if you see me coming, I'm stylish, and kind of like Kerry Washington on
Scandal.
Yes, on Scandal.
Yes. Yeah, like always just super fly, but like she means business, so.
Yeah, we all want to be Kerry Washington. To be clear.
Yeah, so that was kind of the trajectory of where I was headed, but then all signs pointed to just model. Like, it's so much easier. It's so much less brain work and studying.
Let me ask you there. Let me stop you at that point. So
sure.
That makes a lot of sense to me now that you had all these studies in legal justice. You really kind of were aspiring to become a lawyer, but then you went into modeling. And obviously you have the look because you were even recognized as a young teenager to be, of modeling good modeling stock kind of thing. But at the age of 29, that's a little bit late to start a modeling career. How did you get back? Well, you never had really started. You were just kind of, found, and then you couldn't do it because you were in the military. So how did you actually start a modeling career at the age of 29? How did you begin that journey?
Yeah.
So while I was in the military, I did get signed to a modeling agency.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Cool.
I did in Utah, in Salt Lake City. However,
that's where I started my modeling career. Sorry.
That's okay. And again, like it was just so much demand from the military that it was very hard for me to sometimes take the castings, I was then stationed in Mountain Home, Idaho. And it was very hard for me to get off work and then try to find, a way to get down to Utah. And it was just like, I was trained though through the agency to walk. We did, photo shoot training. We did a little PR speaking and presentation work. And that was actually in Idaho downtown. So I was able to make those. However, I was not able to always get to Utah to do the major castings that they had. So I would still do photo shoots. I would travel while I was in the military. I did a couple photo shoots in Korea, like freezing cold in the snow or whatever. You'd have to dig really hard on Google to find those pictures, but they're there. And then once I separated from the military in 2014, I moved back to Chicago, maybe around 2017, early 2017. And I met someone who was like, "Oh, you should model." And I'm like, here it is again. Everybody's just telling me I should model. So I wound up looking up some upcoming fashion shows, just Googling it, and getting on Eventbrite, which is like a gym, a hidden gym. If you do a little search and stuff, and then you find out, who's in charge of things. I reached out to the fashion show director, and I was like, "Is there a casting? I'm interested in walking your show." However, I walked in that show and I realized that I'm just not into runway at all. I never was a big runway kind of girl, and I'm 5'9". And so that's kind of like the runway, minimum height that you have to be, and I'm leggy. I'm so leggy, like.
But isn't that a good thing? I thought models are supposed to be leggy, no?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great thing. I'm all legs, and it's great for runway. Right?
It's great. Yeah. But I also realized this. I was great at runway. Of course, I tried to do it a little bit today, and I was terrible at it 30 years later. But you're either a great runway model or a great catalog model. Photo model. I was trying to think of the E word, but like perimenopause is killing me. But there are not a lot of people who love both or who are really good at both. Yeah.
Right. And it's so much pressure. Like a show, runway show is so much pressure, and it will psychologically will really, really make or break your mood, your attitude, your appetite. Like it's so many things that go into it.
Yeah.
And so it was just so stressful. The couple of times that I did do the shows that I was like, yeah, this is not for me. Like I would rather just be all dialed up and pampered and show up to a photo shoot and, just dial me up and I'll fall into whatever character I need to take a good photo. So.
Well, I mean, when you put it like that, everyone wants to do a photo shoot instead. Let's all do editorial.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next question, because we are focusing on mainly the psychology of fashion. Mm-hmm. And you said psychologically, runway work was just too draining. And I heard you on another podcast. I think it was called Illinois or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about your childhood, and you said you were a tomboy growing up, but you had always kind of wanted to be a model.
Yes.
And so would you say that your personal style today is influenced by your tomboyishness when you were younger, or how has your own personal fashion style evolved? How would you describe your own personal fashion style?
My own personal, first of all, I really think fashion is a feeling. That's just what it is for me. If anybody asked me what the definition of fashion was, fashion is a feeling, and that's it. So I may dress like, you know, uh, really, really dolled up and, really high glamorous, and then tomorrow I might be in like a wife beater and sweats and, completely just down. And I think that your outfit determines your hair and your hair determines your makeup and, your accessories and everything. So it's just literally like a feeling. I was always a tomboy. I always liked to do guy things, football, baseball. I was always out there in the dirt. My mom was like, no, cheerleading. You're going to go to cheerleading. And so from there, like I kind of got into oh, well, I like buns and ponytails and you should always be smiling and be bubbly, and so that I just went through so many transitions growing up that maybe it has a lot to do with what I wear, but I also just feel like where I'm going and what mood I'm in, what feeling I'm getting from that event that I might be attending is what determines what I wear. And I put a lot of thought, especially like if there's a fashion show coming up that I'm not walking in, that I'm just attending.
Yeah.
I will literally internalize that fashion show, try to find the theme of it, if there's a theme, and I will think about my outfit. I have to envision everything that I do.
For that, you're actually getting into character to go out, even if you're not performing.
Absolutely.
Do you do the same thing at shoots when you're there as the model? Do you really you're like, what's the theme of this? How am I supposed to be feeling? So you can feel that way, even though you're not doing the dressing of yourself?
Yes. Okay. Yes. So it's just, everything is mental preparation, whether you're modeling, whether you're 9 to 5, regular working at McDonald's at the window, whatever, everything has to do with preparation, mental preparation, body preparation, it's just a conditioning. So, I get into character. I did a shoot a couple of years ago, a hair shoot where like it was like a 50-pound hair piece and it was a snake. And
a snake. Yes, I saw that.
It was a snake. And so I tried to mimic the entire time. Like I'm quiet at the photo shoot. Like I'm social. I'll say, a couple of jokes because I'm like really silly, but I'm getting into character and I'm like, once I'm all dressed up and they're prepping the lights and everything, I get in the mirror and I mimic all the snake movements or whatever character it is that I'm embodying before I get in front of the camera, so that I'm kind of preconditioned to like knowing my angles and what may look good or whatever while I'm into whatever theme it is.
That's so cool.
Well, one of the things that I was telling Melissa as we were getting ready to come on and interview you is I was looking at, a lot of your pics that you have on your IG profile page. And you have, I was saying to Melissa, she just literally morphs into, you would think that she's 10 different people when you look at the pictures. Yes. There was one picture, I remember, I think, Nikki, that was the first picture that drew me to you on Instagram. And we actually interviewed Ray Jeremiah a few weeks ago, and it was a shoot that you had done with Ray and some other people where you had flames coming out of your boobs and you had like a tree on your head. And I had asked Ray, I said, what was the thought process behind that shoot, And he kind of gave us the background on that and how he had made the bra, and I guess that they put the flames in afterwards and all that kind of stuff. but you do seem to morph into character, whatever character they want to shoot you. I've seen you with blonde wigs. I've seen you with the snakes on your head. It's just so many of these dramatic looks. And I'm thinking, and this was a woman who was a police officer in the military.
Right. But
it just didn't hang together. But now I get it. Now I get it when you say, it also, what you're saying kind of chimes in with a previous interview that we just did with another guest who's a non-binary. And so they don't identify as either man or woman. And one of the things that he said was they said, and I always do that. One of the things that they said was that they dress for the way they feel that particular day. So the way they feel maybe more feminine, or the way they feel that day maybe more masculine. In some ways, even though you yourself, as far as I know, are not a non-binary person, what you're saying is that you have many personalities. Sometimes you feel more feminine, sometimes you feel more masculine, and it just depends on the feeling of the day, and that's how you're going to dress.
Right. I did love that. You said fashion is a feeling, and then you talked about getting into all of these different characters. And then when we, looking back at us looking at your Instagram and you looking like so many different people, I was like, oh, she's not just getting into costume. I mean, she is feeling that. You just have embodied all of that. So that's it's very awesome.
And I think also, and tell me if I'm wrong, Nikki, but it sounds to me like you enjoy the art form of fashion, because you're not just like this hanger they're sticking clothes on or whatever, that you are actually, when you're modeling, you're trying to embody the entire mood of the fashion shoot. So in some ways, it's not just modeling as we think about, like a pose or whatever, but you're really just trying to get into the whole feeling of that scene that they're creating for you. Yes. So there's kind of like, it sounds like there's a little bit of an actress.
It's theater. It's theater.
It's theater. You're an artist.
It's theater, darling. It's theater.
Exactly. I am an artist, and everybody's work has to shine through, because as much as I am an artist, everyone that is involved in the shoot, involved in whatever show production, they are artists as well. They have a vision as well as I do. And once it comes into a collaboration, it's like a big bang of greatness. And I love it. I love it. So once everything all comes together, whether it's an outfit or a production or just me being around it, I'm just in my happy place.
Well, I'm telling you do a fabulous job, girl, because I've looked at the Instagram profile of yours, and like I said, it's like I'm looking at, 15 different people. You'd never even know it's the same woman. I mean, you really do morph. If there was is there a particular era of fashion that you favor, and has that influenced your personal style at all?
All of them. Everything. So fashion recycles itself anyway. And I like to mix eras. So sometimes I will do a very modern tomboy look with a very vintage, glove, or, it's all about the accessories. I feel like the accessories are like the pops of color in a picture, in a black and white picture. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I love silhouettes and structured shoulders and, the skinny legs, you know what I'm saying? And the old mafia mob wife look, with a baseball hat, like a blazer, very chic, very sexy, very sophisticated. But then I throw on a baseball hat and I'm like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So it's just little subtleties, that I'll put together, and if it feels good to me and I feel good in it, I feel like hit my target for, whatever I have going on for the day.
Okay. How much would you say that what you're feeling influences what you wear based on how society maybe influences what you're going to pick out? How would you say those two play between one another?
I'm not really like a societal trend kind of girl.
Okay.
If my mood dictates everything, everything. It dictates anything that I do, how I
are an
do.
artist. Yeah.
Yes, like it. So I don't necessarily care what society has going on or like what the next person is doing. I like to always do authentically what feels good to me. And I'll give you a story for a second. So I was invited to a John Cote event over at the vertiport at where they do like the helicopters rides and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nice fashion show. And I came, I posted it on my page. I had a baseball hat that said, "Never heard of you." And then I had a big oversized t-shirt that like had a lingerie silhouette on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then a sheer skirt that just had like a nice little split in it. And it was completely see-through. And then I had this chunky heel, but it was like a silhouette cutout. And it's actually called the Nikki heel. And I was so scared to walk in because I'm like, everybody is like dressed up for like prom.
Yeah.
Like they have these gowns on, and it's just, I felt like I didn't dress for the occasion. But once I got in there, it was like I was the show.
Yeah.
And I love that and it's kind of like that every time I go to a fashion show because I'm so different. I'm like a talking piece in art, a piece of art. And you want to know, like, why did you dress like that? And so a couple of people came up to me after the show was done, and they were like, my boyfriend said, "Look at that girl. Look what she has on. She's like, she looks so good. Like, you're the flyest girl in the room. Like, why weren't you walking?" And I love that. So I, for as scared and nervous as I was to walk in here, because I'm completely and authentically me, and the mood of the day was that, I was like nervous, but then everybody just made me feel like, you know what, like you dressed for what you were supposed to do. Like you dressed the way that you felt, you dressed for the occasion, and then you dressed better than anybody else that was in here. And it just made me feel really good. So,
well, it sounds like, Nikki, what you're saying then is that you do dress somewhat for the occasion. Of course, we all do. You're not going to wear, let's say, baseball shorts to a red carpet or something like that. But that you take the event into consideration, but in the end, you're authentic to yourself and how you feel for that day and how you want to dress. And it sounds like you have no problem standing out in the crowd, because we know that a lot of people dress just to kind of blend in. They want to meld in. They don't want to be noticed. So it sounds to me like you're a real showman. You like to come in, you like to be recognized for what you're doing, and that you feel that fashion for you is an art form in the way you dress and put your clothes and style your clothes. Am I right?
Yes, absolutely. You should always make a statement when you come out.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, would you say, and I had the question on the tip of my tongue and I forgot it. Let me get my reading glasses out. Do you, for the most part, like to really glam up? And the reason I'm asking you this is because the question that we ask everybody is, why do you think that dress as a whole in society has become so very casual all the time? For example, you were saying, like, some days you want to wear, a little tee and a pair of jeans, and other days you're glammed up. however you're feeling. So you have like a variety of Nikki's fashion styles. But many people, and the majority of people that I would say that I see, as she's pressing my hand down. The Greek people cannot talk without their hands. I'm going mute.
I'm just gonna hold one hand.
I'm going mute. But anyway, why would you say that our dress as a whole in society has become so casual? I mean, this is my own observations, but I'd say almost everywhere I go, people look like they're dressed the same when they go to Costco as when they go out to dinner. You know, hence the title of our podcast, why don't we dress for dinner anymore? So what are your thoughts on that, Nikki? Why do you think that we've become such a casual dressing society?
That's a great question, because I lack the understanding. I don't want to see you dressed like you're going to run errands at this very nice dinner that I'm at. I personally have always kind of been like like appropriations, right? Like presentation is everything. My mom taught me that at a very young age.
Perception is reality.
Absolutely. So I have never been in agreement with, like, for instance, like the Croc era thing, like that is so irritating to me, because people will dress all the way up and then put Crocs on. And I'm like, what was your point then? Why did you go through all of the trouble to even, from here, you look great, from the knees cap down, it's like, what happened?
But wait a minute, you're the same person who dresses up and then puts on a baseball cap.
I am, but
Crocs.
It's literally like it's a balance. So you know what I'm saying? Like, okay. I'm in my baseball cap.
He wasn't totally cash.
Yeah, like in my baseball cap, I'm still going to be able to go to this 5-star restaurant. And if I need to go in Costco, I can do that too. It's like a healthy little balance. And it's you know how you can just turn a 9-to-5 outfit into a evening outfit. That's
right.
Yeah, right. There's a versatility.
So you're saying on the scale of like where the accessory falls into like what's appropriate, shoes are way up there. Like if the
shoes are really, really, really up there.
Okay.
Like women that are in like nightclubs and stuff with like gym shoes, shoot me. What is going on? Like and then it makes me it changes my mood, because now I don't want to be here because I don't fit. Like, because that's not my thing.
Right.
So I don't know how it's getting so lax. And I think, as the trends change, as the times change, and as fashion recycles itself, we're getting into the bigger, baggier clothes. I think we're in like the 90s all over again, the 90s era now, where, it's like the oversized everything. I still think that it can be like a very feminine edge to it. But I think because it's that oversized thing that everybody is just kind of like, oh, whatever. It's oversized, so it's lax, so it's tomboyish, so it's the trend, and I can just wear it anywhere. Trends are great, but trends don't always match the setting or the, what you have going on. So I just don't think that because this is trending, I'm going to go and sit at Prime and Provisions like that. I'm just not going to do it.
Right. So you're exactly in the spot. That's one of the reasons we have this podcast, because we ask this question of every single person. Why do you think that society has become, is dressing so casually? And of course, every person we talk to, a lot of them will say, well, we're coming out of COVID, but then that's just acting like it's only happened recently in the last couple of years. In fact, Melissa and I did a podcast together today just to let our guests know who we are, as hosts and where we're coming from. And when Melissa said to me, well, what do you think, Teddy, as far as that? I can trace it all the way back, Nikki, to when I was a senior in high school, and for the first time they allowed us to wear a pair of blue jeans to school, because when I was in school, you couldn't even wear culottes. They'd kick you out of the school, because if it even resembled pants, you were out, let alone blue jeans.
So Teddy's marking it as 1971.
I'm saying the 1971 started that seed of it's okay to be casual everywhere you go. And I agree with you, Nikki. I agree with you 100%, because to me, when I'm going to a very expensive place to eat, I want the people around me to match the evening as an event. Do you agree? If you're going out to a really lovely restaurant, you're paying a lot of money to eat your meal. It's very beautifully presented. Do you want to look at the next table where they're all dressed like they could just be hop right next door and go eat at McDonald's?
No.
I would like the atmosphere of the customers to match the ambiance of the place that I'm eating in. I remember, I don't know if they do this anymore, but I remember up until about 20 years ago, I remember my husband and I were in New York, and we went to the Rainbow Room, which is at the top of NBC, where they broadcast NBC in New York. And it's a very beautiful restaurant. And it was so formal at that time, now we're going back 20 some years, that there were some businessmen who came in. I think they look like Japanese businessmen who came in, and they had golf shirts on. And they actually had a rack of navy blue men's suit jackets in all different sizes, so that if men came in without a suit jacket on, they would give them one to put on in order to sit down and eat a meal.
I love that.
Yes.
Right.
And that was quite common before in the 20th century. That was very common in the 1900s for high-end restaurants to have jackets on the side for men who were coming inappropriately dressed, so to speak, and for them inappropriately meant without a jacket and a tie. So in other words, the restaurant itself was even promoting a certain type. We want our clientele to be dressed at a certain level. They weren't telling you how to dress, but they were saying, this is an upscale restaurant, therefore we want our customers to look like they're an upscale group of people. We don't want them to look like they're eating at the hot dog stand. Where now, I don't know if it's because of business reasons or anything else, but I've eaten at very high-end restaurants where people come in wearing shorts and gym shoes.
And I would lose my appetite immediately.
Right.
So I do think that, that there is an economical change right now where, back when I was partying, I don't want to say like back when, I sound a little older than whatever, but
nobody's older than me, so go ahead.
There used to be dress codes, like if you were at the door, there was like fashion police at the door, like, no, you can go. You can go. Okay, I see you, you can go. But like now it's like, just let me see your ID. They're not even like looking at anyone or whatever. So now I'm in here, and I don't want to sound like all pompous and stuff, but like General Pop. And I'm not dressed for General Pop. Like I'm dressed.
Right.
I'm dressed for the VIP. But I think that because of the economy right now and, its trajectory and where it's going, everybody is acceptable because they need the money. They need the revenue, so
that's interesting.
Everyone can just come in, and because if I turn you away, then that's less revenue. Obviously, I'm missing out on whatever drink that you're about to buy, whatever food you're about to buy, whatever experience.
Right. And there was that whole movement of quiet luxury when you didn't know if the person showing up in yoga pants was
a millionaire. Yeah.
Right. But hopefully we're past that, because it feels so disrespectful.
It does.
To walk into somewhere and have someone not dressed for the occasion. And I'm like, you're ruining this for me, and you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What would you say it was? I know you've been in Vogue, and I know you've been in Harper. So you've been in some very top of the top
Right.
fashion
Every model's
magazine.
dream is to be in Harper's.
What would you say was your most exciting modeling shoot and why?
2 days.
Most
Excited.
It was exciting for you to participate in. Really? And what was it about? What was the theme of the shoot, would you say?
I am going to actually say I did a shoot with Mastermind and Ray Jeremiah and AJ Knows Hair. And we all did like this collaboration and Christina did the makeup.
What was it? AJ Johnson?
AJ Knows.
No, AJ Knows Hair is her Instagram handle. Her name's Ari though. But she and Ray got together and they, Ray styled it. And, Mastermind is a phenomenal photographer. He's got like this crazy mind where he can like do this crazy Photoshop effects and stuff. And the picture went viral. So it was for Valentine's Day, the day of love. And then AJ kind of like put my hair into like this big old heart. And I was like laying down, and then Ray had this pink bodysuit corset. It was giving very what's from Roger Rabbit, Lola Bunny or something. Like it was kind of like,
Jessica Rabbit?
Jessica Rabbit, yeah. So it was giving like that plus like the old school vintage, what was that cartoon or whatever? I'm aging myself. Come Up and See Me Sometime. Do you
Betty
remember?
No,
yeah,
Come Up and See Me,
Mae West. But
okay.
I'm thinking of the cartoon, which was based.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, old I am. I'm going Mae West from the 30s.
All right.
Come up.
But it was giving that, and it was exactly. And I felt like all I was missing was like the very long, cigarette holder. Yes. And so it just came and the photo shoot went viral. It's still like gets so many likes and attention and stuff. But it was like really fun. It was so much fun. And they're in the like background taking pictures of me because like I said, I'm getting into character and they're like eating it up because I'm in the mirror and I'm like, playing with my hair and doing all kinds of things.
So you're really, it sounds like, Nikki, you're really just into the art of the whole thing. You're bringing it, you're kind of, it's not just modeling, it's acting, it's being in the role, it's being in the moment. By any chance, is that picture on your Instagram profile?
It is.
Because we're going to look for it because I think we're going to pop it up on the video so people who are watching the video part of the podcast can see it.
I think it was like lovebirds. It looked like lovebirds holding up my braids or something too.
Lovebirds holding up your, I got to look for that.
That's great.
Yeah. You have some great pictures on it.
Thank you.
Well, and just to wrap up, what would you say as far as what is your next step in your fashion career? Are you seeing yourself as being a model up until the time you're, in a wheelchair, or are you looking for another evolution in your fashion career?
So I'm always evolving. I think that more so now I am transitioning more into just kind of like a lifestyle influencer modeling kind of. So when I, go out, like these last couple of photos that I posted on Instagram, it's just kind of me living in my own world on a day-to-day. This is what I did when I went to dinner. And this, like, I went to a fashion show.
Right.
Exactly. So it's not so much, photo shoots anymore. Although I still do photo shoots and love them, I want to be like, channeling, I don't know, Zendaya and Rihanna, where they get to like be invited to the shows because of their look and because the designer wants to dress them because they are like the walking art. They're mannequins, and they are like, this is how it's supposed to look. And then I want to be sitting in front row enjoying the show, but like,
I mean,
feeling great.
I feel like you're already really moved there into your muse phase, so I can see that continuing for you in a very big way.
How about, let me just ask you one last question. How about your cognac brand, Epochal?
That's the one I was going to ask.
Oh,
where can we find your cognac brand? Tell us about it.
It's just starting out, so it's very, very, very new. I came out with the idea last year. I got, all certified, got my licenses and stuff. It imports from France, from Cognac, France, actually.
Wow.
And we are hopefully going to drop this year at the end, fingers crossed. But it is for women. It's a sophisticated drink. It embodies art. It embodies everything, the essence of a woman, the sophistication, the elegance, the class. And it's really for women. So I'm excited to bring it to market, and you'll see me modeling it. Every model needs a product. That's some gems for upcoming models. Get you a product, because the modeling will never stop. It will just never end for you.
That's right, because then you're the spokesmodel.
Yes.
Have you ever watched it's an old picture. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but if you haven't, you can probably look it up on a million and one of the, the apps on TV. It's an Alfred Hitchcock movie, and it's called Rear Window, and it's with Grace Kelly. Have you ever seen that by any chance?
I have not.
Okay, because there's a scene in there, and Grace Kelly is a gorgeous model from the 50s. She became a princess of Monaco, that whole thing. And there's a scene in there, and she's got this great bracelet that I've always coveted. I've always looked, where could I find that Grace Kelly bracelet? But she brings out the little kind of brandy snifter glasses, and she puts cognac in them. And there's the three of them are drinking cognac. And for some reason, and I could never figure this out, they're always shaking the glass, like they're moving it around all the time. I don't know if that has anything to do with the cognac, but
what is it?
They're constantly moving it.
Yeah, look.
It does. So basically, with those glasses, it's meant for the aroma. So you're swirling it around, you're getting the smell of it, you're taking in the notes.
It's the experience
of it. It's part of the experience. You're swishing it around for that.
It wasn't just acting. It's like you're just dropping the knowledge on us. Now we have to rewatch it without being like,
Rear Window is great. And that Grace Kelly doing that, they're cognac, moving the cognac around, and she's got this white halter top and this green sleek skirt on. I'm telling you, if you have a launch party, we have to come to it. And I'm dressing like Grace Kelly.
Let's do it.
I do my little swing around
with both hands right in front of
I love that. I do plan on having an event called The Taste of Art here really soon, so I will keep you in the loop of
things. Definitely. Well, then I'm getting my Grace Kelly outfit ready.
Get it together.
I need my own special glass so I can go swim.
No, you know what? For you, I will have it already ready for you.
Yay! I can't wait for Epochal. Yay!
Yay! How can we love and support you in the meantime?
Give us your Instagram handle.
Follow me at Miss Nick, MIZZNIK. And you can also follow Epochal Cognac as well. EPOCHAL Cognac. And that's it.
Okay.
Well, we're waiting for your launch party. Because we know you're going to look fabulous.
We do.
Yes. I love it. Yes.
I don't know what it is with my hand today. It's got a life of its own. But anyway, Nikki, we will definitely look for our invitation to your cognac launch party. You're fabulous. We love you. We're a fan. And we hope to talk to you soon.
Yes, I loved it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, beautiful. Bye-bye, Nikki.
Bye.
Epochal all the way.
Yay. Bye.
Bye. What I loved about interviewing Nikki is when she said fashion was a feeling.
Yes.
And then she pulled us right into her process of modeling.
Yes.
And it seems like she's not just showing up to the job and being a clothes hanger. She's
putting thought into it.
Getting into character. Yeah.
Getting into character. Exactly. In fact, that's what she said.
Yeah.
She said she will look at what it is they're going to dress her in and do. And she tries the whole time she's on set to actually get in the mood of the character, and that the people, often the other creatives that are involved in the setup, are actually amazed at how much she really is into the character. And one of the examples she gave us, which I thought was really interesting, is she's got this one picture where they put like these whole snake kind of things on her
and
head.
she's like trying to be a snake.
She was trying to be an actual snake.
Listen,
it wasn't like, they stuck the snake thing on her head and she went, she actually like got herself into the mindset of, if I was actually a snake, how would I move? How would, the whole thing kind of feel? And so I think Nikki in particular has kind of dispelled, at least in her life, the myth that models are just these clothes hangers. I mean, in some cases they may be, if you're just doing like a photo shoot for a catalog or something like that. Myrtle! That's my dog, Myrtle. She's very yappy. Myrtle, be quiet. She will actually get into the feeling and the art of the set, of the clothes, of the way she's supposed to look. So I think for Nikki, modeling is not just going to a job, slapping some clothes on, making a few poses and get paid. Nikki is bringing it all. She's bringing emotion. She's bringing feeling. She's really getting into it. And I think that's why I told her, I says, when I look at your Instagram profile page, I was showing Melissa, I was showing you. And I said, look at her. She looks like she could be 15 different people. She never looks the same in any picture. You almost could not recognize her if you looked at all these pictures.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I had a thought and then
I know you
left.
Yeah, I know you wanted to focus on the art of the way she dressed.
Well, no, here's the thing is, fashion is a feeling. So, earlier we interviewed Scotty.
Yeah.
And we really talked about getting outside of the box of like however you're labeled, getting outside of that. Right. And I think then speaking to Nikki, that kind of nailed that thing. You recall in our podcast with Scotty, talked about like waking up one morning and not wanting to wear heels. Right. Oh shit, I don't fit in the box anymore.
Right. I'm not fulfilling my trans or non-binary role.
Not dressing for somebody else's idea of who he is before. Right. And they really needed to transcend that to like feel comfortable. And then Nikki is like, fashion is a feeling and I dress
how I feel,
how I want to show up in the world. Right. And I think the both of them came to a very similar conclusion.
Right. Absolutely.
And Scotty through a lot of deliberation and work, and Nikki, it sounds like through more artistry.
Right.
Although she also took this path to finding herself being in the military and thinking about studying law and then just being.
But there was always, if you notice with Nikki, there was always the need for a touch of glamour, because even when she said she was thinking about being a lawyer,
she wanted to be like Washington.
On Scandal and be the glam lawyer who walks in, this drop-dead gorgeous babe, and then she's going to get in there and make her case. So even then you could see that the fashion is kind of in her soul.
Right. And I totally get that. Mm-hmm. Like if you were born an artist.
Yes.
Right. Or if you were, if you were born beautiful, then like people just expect you to continue to be beautiful. Yeah. But then if you're born an artist, regardless of you're like, you know what, I'd actually like to use my mind a little bit more than that. So I get that she's like police work, lawyering. Like I get that. But you're always that artistry comes so
it's
easily.
Going to come through everything.
Right.
Everything. So and eventually that's what she ended up doing.
Right. And I love that she kind of she's like, you know what? Actually, this artistry, like I have proved that I can do law school. Right. I have proved that I can do these things. Right. And now it's time to let me just
be what I want to do.
Right. If fashion is a feeling and that's her feeling and she's so good at it.
Oh, yeah. Like, and then she's segued now into this cognac brand called Epochal. But even that she's already working on a glam kind of campaign because Epochal is glamorous. Epochal is a cognac brand for women because cognac is a very sophisticated drink.
Oh, right.
So,
and it's often pictured with men and cigars.
yeah,
so.
it's not, yeah. And she's making it more, and I gave her the Grace Kelly, picture of, spitting the cognac in the glass. I think, even with the cognac brand, she's going to bring a lot of glamour to that.
I think so.
And a lot of artistry just because that's part of who she is.
I think so.
Even though I'm sure she's a very good businesswoman, so there's that business part of her brain.
Yes.
But she also infuses it with the artistic part of her brain, which I think makes her extremely interesting. And I think we learn something new every time we interview somebody. Don't you think so?
We do.
We're going to write a book after this. I think Melissa and I are going to co-author a book. I just thought of this now.
She just decided for me.
We're going to co-author a book of
What's
all
it
of
gonna
our
be called?
podcasts.
Okay.
I think
We're going to do research.
we're going to learn so much from
We're going to
all
start
these.
coding all of our podcasts now. And we're going to write a research paper.
We
and
are-
write a book.
Yeah. I mean, what can I do? This is the way we think.
And by the time
One
it's
thing
done,
goes into the next, into the next, into the next, into the next. It's like you're constantly, those mirrors that never stop? That's us.
oh,
Isn't that cute?
high five.
I love you, kid.
Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
Well, let's ask the question.
Teddy, why don't we dress for dinner anymore?
I don't know, Melissa. Why don't we dress for dinner anymore? We'll find out on next week's episode.